Hey guys, Scare9 here, welcome back to my channel today, and as promised, in this video we are going to be comparing the Ikelos shotgun with the new Season 5 Pinnacle Reward weapon, the Loaded Question. Also, in addition to that, I decided that with the recent changes to how the trench barrel perk works, that we would do a slight alteration of this test to find out what the best combination of punch to shoot is for the Ikelos shotgun as well. If you guys don't know, the trench barrel perk used to just be a flat buff. Whenever you punch someone, you had like 6 or 7 seconds to just unload as many shots as possible, and they would all do increased damage. However, with the new update, they made it so that it only increases the damage for your next 3 shots. So that is going to play into some of the things that we are comparing. So there are 3 main things I want to compare. First off is what I refer to as the Ikelos spam method. This is where you just get an initial punch off, so your first 3 shots are buffed, but the rest is just normal shotgun damage. Then we have the second thing that we're comparing, which is the Ikelos punch combo, which is where you punch, fire 3 shots, punch, fire 3 shots, etc., until you use every shot that you have with your shotgun. And then the third and most important thing, in my opinion, that we're going to be looking at is just the Loaded Question. If you aren't aware, this weapon's perk is a unique one that makes it that whenever your weapon has a full magazine, the next shot will do insane damage. So if you pair it with something like a Rally Barricade or a Lunafaction Rift, you're going to be able to get these insane damage shots over and over and over again, which is very, very cool. Now, I do want to say all of the initial testing was done on Kali. Both weapons were up to 600. In fact, my entire power level was 600, and I will be calculating the damage as if every pellet or kind of part of the shot was a body shot. In some of these clips, you might see some headshots. I ignore those completely. What I'm going to be doing is calculating theoretical damage based on if everything hit a body shot, which is very important, and we will get to the critical damage down the road. So for the Ikelos shotgun, each shot boosted by trench barrel does a total of 28,536 damage to the body of Kali, and each regular non-boosted shot does 19,032 damage. So knowing those values, we can calculate how much each strategy actually does in the end. So the Ikelos' base inventory has 21 shots. Using the spam method, like I said, you will have 3 boosted shots and 18 regular damage bullets. This means that the spam method does a total damage of around 428,184 damage, and so now that we know the entire damage that it does overall, if we calculate the amount of time it takes to do that damage, we get an approximate DPS value. So I found that this entire process takes around 7.44 seconds, giving this method a DPS value of about 57,552 damage per second. Now, I do just want to point out for consistency's sake that this is actually from the beginning of your punch. As soon as your weapon starts to go down and you go into the melee animation, so that means that there is going to be more damage sort of towards the middle when you have those boosted shots, but there's an average of around that much damage per second. So now that we have those values for the first strategy, we can move on to the second one, which, like I said, is going to be the Ikelos punch combo method. With this strategy, you'll have 21 full boosted shots and 0 regular ones since you're punching every 3 shots, and this will give you a total damage of around 599,256. This variation of the strategy obviously takes significantly longer. In my testing, I found it to be about 14.85 seconds from the beginning of the initial punch to firing the final shot, giving us a final DPS value of around 40,354 damage per second. Then finally, we can move on to the Loaded Question. This weapon's boosted shots do about 48,258 damage, while the regular ones do 36,204 damage. Now, like I said, I'm going to be assuming that you're using something to keep your magazine full, whether it be a reload barrier or Lunafaction boots, whatever it is. When you are in this type of thing, you will have 10 boosted shots, 6 regular shots, giving you an optimal total damage of 699,804 damage, while it does take you around 22.85 seconds to do this entire thing, giving you a final DPS of about 30,626 damage per second. Now, once again, all of these things, this is while you are standing in front of a barrier, while you're in a Lunafaction Rift for all 3 of these strategies, so keep that in mind. I'm keeping it exactly consistent all the way throughout. So we can see here we have a very weird relationship here. Based on all of these damage numbers against the body shots of Kali, the Loaded Question does by far the most overall damage. However, it also conversely holds by far the lowest DPS value, which is very, very interesting. On the other hand, while the Ikelos spamming strategy does by far the least amount of overall damage, it sports an insane DPS value, meaning that it does more damage more quickly, but significantly less damage overall. all. Now, I went ahead and did the same type of test again, but to test critical damage, so I did it against a spider tank in a patrol zone, meaning my damage values are going to be way lower since damage in a patrol zone is scaled to that level, which is like 5 or 10. It's super low. So the values are going to seem a little bit off, but remember, the main thing that matters is the correlation between the 3 different strategies and weapons, not necessarily the comparison of the damage between the spider tank and the Kali encounter. So keep that in mind. Now, the Ikelos shotgun does feature a much larger critical multiplier, however, so the tests actually show that the punch-shoot method give you the highest damage, while the spamming still gives you the highest DPS, where the loaded question does not come into play at all. So here we have a bunch of data. We know the loaded question does the most damage against non-critical multipliered enemies, things that you're going to be hitting body shots, whereas the Ikelos punch every 3 shot combo does have the most damage against an enemy with a large critical spot, and then the spam method always has the greatest amount of DPS. So from all of this data, we can effectively say which strategy or weapon is best in what scenario. So there are 4 main possibilities in my eyes. The first one has to do with a boss with a small critical hitbox and a short damage phase. This is something like Shiro Chi. The spam method is probably the way to go. You don't really have to worry about aiming, you're just focusing on doing a ton of damage very quickly. The second scenario also has to do with a boss with a small critical hitbox, however a longer damage phase. Something like the Kali encounter in the Last Wish raid. The loaded question is definitely the way to go here. Once again, you're focusing on just hitting those body shots, you just want to get your shots on target, but you're looking to do as much damage as possible, but you have plenty of time to do it. That is going to be Kali. The third one is going to be a boss with a large critical hitbox and a short damage phase, something like the dogs during the Pleasure Guardians encounter on the Leviathan raid. You don't have very long to kill these dogs once you've aggravated them, but they do have that huge critical spot on the front of their face that is very easy to hit. Once again, using the spam strategy is probably the best here. And then the fourth and final scenario is going to be a boss with a large critical hitbox and a fairly long damage phase. This is going to be exactly like the Morgoth encounter in the Last Wish raid. You have a ton of time to kill him, and his critical spot is absolutely massive. So during this type of scenario, I would normally say the Ikelos and punch combo every 3 shots is ideally going to be the way to go. Now keep in mind, I was only using 2 variables here, that being the size of the critical box and the length of the DPS phase. However, there are a ton of factors in reality. Just for instance, I know a lot of people are probably going to call me out on this. I said that the Ikelos punch combo every 3 shots is probably the way to go on Morgoth. However, he really doesn't have that much health, meaning that if you have 6 people doing the spamming strategy, you'll probably kill him before you run out of ammo. So there are a ton of different factors that go into this: the amount of boss health, the distance you are away from the boss, and just in general fight mechanics. So those 4 scenarios are very general. They're not supposed to be a kind of definitive guide for every raid boss in the game. It's more like a place to start whenever we are introduced to new bosses in new raids and strikes and things like that. So keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, it helps us see all the data, put it into application, and kind of answer the question that I was asking at the beginning of this: is the loaded question better than the Ikelos shotgun in terms of damage? We know that it does the most damage against body shots, we know that it does inferior critical hit damage, and we know in general it does way lower DPS. So the only situation I see the loaded question being better in is, once again, in encounters like Kali, where you don't have a critical spot that you can really access very easily, and you have a ton of time to hit them, which is actually very disappointing. That means that the loaded question is way less versatile than the Ikelos shotgun, which conversely can pretty much be used in any encounter in the game, which is very sad. So I definitely think I'm going to have to give the upper hand still to the Ikelos, but the loaded question, I mean, it's good in some scenarios. It might be good to have in your inventory to use in things like the Kali encounter, but at the end of the day, it is kind of underwhelming. So let me know what you guys thought about all of this down in the comment section below. I know there was a lot of math. I hope I didn't bore too many of you, but it is very important to me to kind of get these numbers out there to show the comparison between these 2 weapons. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like rating and to share it with your friends. If you're interested in watching either of the 2 videos on screen, you can click their respective annotations to be taken to them. If you're brand new to my channel, make sure to hit the giant version of my logo on screen to be subscribed for more awesome Destiny 2 videos and live streams. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I'll see you in my next video.